One of the hardest things about asparagus to figure out is what's the best time to pick it. Maybe you've waited 2 or 3 years for it to get big enough to harvest. Now the moment has come and you're like, what do I actually do? So the key is to harvest it when it is larger than a pencil. And so when you've got really skinny ones, they need that energy from growing in order to feed the roots to have a bigger crop next year. And so you don't want to harvest it when it's small. And what'll typically happen is the first shoots that come out of the ground once a bed is mature will be quite good sized. And then over time, over the course of 2 or 3 weeks as you harvest it, the shoots that come up are going to get smaller and smaller. Basically, the roots of that plant are running out of energy, and so they're only able to send up smaller shoots. Once they get down to the size of a pencil or so, that stop. Hello homesteaders, gardeners, and cooks. My name is Jennifer. Welcome to Miles Away Farm. Thanks for joining me in my kitchen. Over time, I've been doing a small series on cooking vegetables that are really basic. My strategy for vegetables, as somebody who really didn't like vegetables as a kid, has been to have one go-to recipe for every vegetable out there. And so I just keep playing with different things until I find a way to cook a vegetable that I don't just tolerate, but that I actually look forward to. And for me, an asparagus, that answer is grilled. I love grilled asparagus. Some of my first memories from childhood, and certainly my first memory of ever wild foraging anything, is about asparagus. I lived in the Twin Falls, Idaho area from the age of 4 until about the end of 4th grade, the beginning of 5th grade. And I can remember going out one time with my grandmother and my mother and foraging wild asparagus along fence lines in southern Idaho. And I thought it was the most fun thing. And it was so unexpected because my grandmother and my mother were not the kind of people to spend a ton of time outdoors. They were definitely the kind of women who had a big closet full of clothes and were concerned with fashion and liked to have nice things. And so I was very surprised that they wanted to go harvest wild asparagus, but they both loved it enough that it was worth doing. And for me, it was a treasure hunt. I think as humans, we are pretty much designed to be able to find things. Once we have a search image, once we have something to look for, we're very good at that. It's how our brains are wired. And so as a, 5, 6, 7-year-old, I thought it was great fun to look at the side of the road for where those asparagus were and to go out and pick them. And we brought them home and ate them. However, as a small child, I wouldn't eat them because basically I didn't eat anything that was green. I did not want to have anything to do with wild asparagus. I didn't want to have anything to do with asparagus, period. And then in my high school years, my parents had a very big bed of asparagus and they would harvest the heck out of it in the spring, and asparagus would make regular appearances on our dinner menus, and it was always steamed. And so the way they cooked it was they would put it in a glass bread baking pan with a little bit of water, a piece of saran wrap over the top, throw it in the microwave and steam it and serve it steamed. It was always kind of soggy. I never liked it. If you dipped it in enough mayonnaise, I could tolerate it and eat 2 or 3 spears, but I never enjoyed it. And then finally, as an adult, probably in the mid-90s, grilled asparagus became a thing, and I actually tried it grilled. And then I finally discovered how to love asparagus. Grilled asparagus is absolutely delicious. It's not soggy. The trick is to not overcook it. You want it to be just tender crisp, but you get that charring on the outside and that extra flavor, and it is absolutely wonderful, and it's a treat that we look forward to every year. So what we're gonna do is snap these guys up. So once you've picked them, and you can pick them as long as the tops are not starting to open. And this is an example. Anyway, it's certainly edible, but when they start to open up like this, they start to get really woody and fibrous. And so they're not as good of eating as they are when they're nice and tight. I picked this just because I wanted to get it out of the bed because I want my bed to keep producing asparagus. And if you don't pick these and you let them grow and get ferny, which is what they're going to do later in the year, they will stop sending up new shoots. And so it's important to get these out of there, even if you don't eat them yourself, even if you just toss them in the compost pile. These are 2 different kinds of asparagus, by the way. One of them is purple, one of them is green. I can't notice any difference in taste. For whatever reason, I've lost a lot of asparagus to gophers, and my gophers seem to like the green varieties better than the purple varieties. So I have more purple than green. This is a good example of a nice, tight asparagus spear that's absolutely perfect. Sometimes they'll get really tall. before they start to open up. Sometimes they stay pretty short. You just have to figure out over time when to harvest. My problem is I don't want to harvest every day, and so I always have some that are a little longer, a little shorter, and that's okay. They're all edible, just at different stages, and some of them will be slightly more woody. And then what you do, if you've got a really tall one that's gotten woody at the bottom, what you want to do is snap that end off, and I'll show you that in the video. Where they snap is typically where they start to get woody, and so you can keep the tender part and toss the woody part. Asparagus beds take a commitment. They're something that you want to put in as soon as you get on your homestead. Put them in a permanent location. They are perennial, meaning they come back year after year, and so you want to put them someplace where you can keep it weeded and just let them do its thing. I usually put them kind of at the back of the garden where they can do their thing. Gophers will eat them. That is the one drawback. I've lost probably 2/3 of my asparagus bed, if not 3/4, to gophers over the last 10 years. But other than that, most of the time things leave them alone, and they're a long-term commitment. But boy, this time of year when you're really hungry for something fresh and green and your other greens are not ready yet, it is a delightful thing to have on your homestead. Grilled asparagus. Let's get started.
And there you have it, grilled asparagus. Absolutely delicious and so easy. It's good hot, it's good cold, it's good rewarmed and thrown into other things. Give it a try. Thanks for watching, Tribe. If you like this kind of content, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, leave me a comment, and share. I have new content coming out every week.